What is this bizarre new place I've landed in? Ah! I'm so colorful! Well, there's some obvious kinks to work out, but I think we can handle some Batman. Problem is, I'm not really sure what to say about this stretch. It's kind of the no man's land of Batman, or the no Batman's land, if you will. Well, no, there's plenty of Batman in it, but honestly, you could just skip the next couple of chapters and have no idea you'd be doing so. Well, I'm sure a lot of people would say that about most serials anyway. But I, for one, am shocked. I love this serial, but I have to be honest here. There's just not a whole lot going on now that Foster's dead. Oh, Foster, you and your pencil mustache and your irreverent racist slang and you're pulling a gun on DACA. Why can't more villainous henchmen be like you? Why did they kill you off so early? Why, Foster? Why? Why couldn't it have been Batman instead? Oh yeah, I know it looks like he's about to plunge to his doom, but you know he's just gonna jump out at the last second. See? I mean, we already saw this at least twice in Batman and Robin. 6 years later. Geez, it really warps my sense of historical consistency watching the later serial first. I need to take a moment to take stock of this situation. First off, Batman says he's going down there to retrieve the radium gun. Does he ever use it again? No. Do we ever see it again? No! What is wrong with you, serial? You have a cool-looking ray gun, but it's gone by chapter 5? I mean, come on, you put Batman carrying it around in promotional photos. What, did you waste all your effects budget already? Great, we have a serial where the main villain's plan is to steal radium to power a weapon he hasn't had since the first chapter. Heck, he's almost out of henchmen at this point, too. During the events of Chapter 4 alone, we lost Stone because he drowned, Foster because he got eaten, and now in one fell swoop we lost Britt, Hank, and Brennan, the only other competent henchman we had. And for those people who value a Batman who doesn't kill, he just tossed all 3 of them off a cliff! DACA's ranks need some filling out, so without any fanfare, we're introduced to Burke and Klein, who are going to be our go-to henchmen for the rest of the series. And it looks like the Inner Circle's finally going to have to get off their collective butts and do stuff too. This chapter in particular stands out as one of those you could just as easily skip, and it's really the only one that makes use of that whole Batman as a secret government agent thing, something you've probably been doing your best to try and forget anyway. So DACA is contacted by a submarine that tells him to go out that night to a charming place called Smuggler's Rocks, because you know all clandestine meetings like this have to occur at the most evil-sounding locations possible, and follow instructions outlined in Plan 94.
Fletcher, contact Hill's Brothers Mortuary and rent a hearse. Line up your new men for tonight and proceed as outlined in Plan 94.
Jeez, with at least around 100 plans, DACA does a good job of recalling its contents on the spot. Fletcher, pick up a tennis racket, some Vaseline, 2 midget cheerleader outfits, and a llama in accordance with Plan 94. Actually that's Plan 62, How to Survive a War Crimes Tribunal. Back at Wayne Manor, Alfred proves what a terrific butler he is by showing a tendency to throw away letters to Bruce without telling him that may or may not be from the government. Then again, maybe this is just passive-aggressive retaliation for Bruce for always treating him like dirt.
I thought I told you never to throw anything away.
Nah, with Mr. Sunshine in charge, who has any reason to be passive-aggressive?
Oh, just a blank page. Oh, that's a good one on you, sir. Probably one of those April Fool's Day jokes.
Well, Bruce shows just how much he hates April Fool's Day jokes by mixing his grape juice and vodka together so that they become milk to pour into the kitty's dish. But it also reveals a secret message, warning that the enemy might be trying to steal a new plane engine.
Your first special assignment from Washington.
You mean other than the whole dress up like a giant bat thing? Or has this all been one big practical joke? Mr. Wayne, we really need your help to win this war. What we need you to do is build a cave under your house and start dressing up as a giant bat. And we also need you to dress up your teenage ward like a red and green stripper. And then I want you to go out every night looking for trouble. You'll really be helping the war. Just keep doing this until we give you further instructions. We also get to find out Wayne Manor's address here. You know, Gotham City's only been mentioned about half a dozen times so far in this serial. Are you guys even trying? Surprised they got his name right. So the henchmen return with a coffin they found at Smuggler's Rocks and they decide to open it.
Hey, there's a dead body in here.
In a coffin? That you delivered with a hearse? Well, don't that just beat all? Where is Foster when you need him?
A body, yes, but not a dead one, gentlemen. He may only come to life for a few moments.
So is he dead or not? The guy gives Daka a button off his uniform before dying again, or dying for the first time, who cares? The button contains microfilm with a message.
Something like V-mail again.
Exactly, Marshal.
Wow, so back then they had to deliver messages with a submarine dropping off a dead body? I'm glad we since upgraded an earlier letter to the alphabet to affix to the word mail, because I'm not seeing V as being simple or cost-effective. I kid, because V-mail, short for victory mail, was a safe, convenient way of delivering messages to soldiers during World War II. In it, a message was censored, photocopied down to a tiny piece of microfilm, and then blown up and printed back onto paper once it reached its destination. Its purpose was twofold: saving valuable space for more important supplies, and keeping would-be spies from implanting secret messages, as things like invisible ink and micromessages weren't transferable in the copying process. Well, inside the V-mail is a pretty terrible map of the hangar where the experimental airplane is kept, but is apparently enough for them to continue forward. Now, the next part of their plan depends entirely on two airplane mechanics who happen to work with the experimental plane, happening to come to an abandoned part of town, and happening to take a ride in the Japanese Cave of Horrors to be captured. And with luck like that, it's astonishing the Japanese didn't win the war. And this isn't a case of, oh, if only this would happen, we could move forward. It's, this is what we need to do. And then it just happens like they somehow planned it out. The zombie machine just showed it could be used to bring someone back from the dead, or nearly dead, or insert your own Princess Bride joke here. But remember how in the first chapter Daka made it very clear he had to give Martin Warren truth serum before he turned him into a zombie so that he was able to get information on the radium supply at the Gotham City Foundation? Well, apparently Daka can now just turn the guy into a zombie and ask the zombie information about the plane. Boy, this zombie machine's like a Swiss Army knife in this chapter. So the zombified mechanics are taken to the base to take out the pilots and steal the plane. Before any of this goes down, Bruce, who is here with Dick undercover, decides, just for the heck of it, to hang out in the plane. Dick walks in on the beatdown taking place, but since there's no saving of Batman to be done, he gets knocked out pretty quickly, but he does wake up long enough to tell Bruce what's going on.
Bruce,
Yes, Dick?
the two men on the plane are not the Lockwood pilots.
Report it to headquarters. I'm riding along till I get to their hideout.
Except that he doesn't do that at all. He immediately walks out into the cockpit. If these were not zombies, something Batman or any other sane human would probably be assuming, they'd notice him immediately, and he wouldn't get to the hideout. But since they are zombies, that just means Daka can see him with that magical zombie camera that sees whatever the plot needs him to. So there's a fight. Government succeeds in bombing down the stolen plane with stock footage, and instead of being taken to the hideout, Batman just dies. Chapter 6! Except of course he doesn't. Oh man, crashing a plane makes me so dizzy. But of course the mechanics are both dead. And what the heck? Bruce told Dick the radio headquarters to tell them what he was doing. So you're telling me the government gives Batman an assignment, Batman tells the government his plan, and the government just shoots him down anyway. Something that would kill their agent, destroy the plane, and also keep them from catching the enemy. Well, the next thing the Navy destroys the submarine anyway, so I guess that's not a problem. I guess they just realized that Batman was going to do something monumentally stupid, like walk into the cockpit, so they decided to just cut their losses and shoot down the dang thing. Daka was going to try to get the blueprints for the plane, but once he hears the submarine is dead, he decides...
Man, we can forget about the blueprints for the present.
Oh, please, like this subplot is ever going to be revived. Let's just move on and pretend the last chapter was a fever dream. Instead, Daka falls back on his usual plan of harassing Linda for a while in the hopes that she might draw up Batman.
But I understand she likes a fellow named Bruce Wayne.
You don't suppose this fellow Wayne and the Batman could be one and the same person?
That'd be absurd. That simpering idiot could never be the Batman.
Well, that bit of genre unsavviness aside, Daka assigns Klein, who used to be a telephone repairman, to install a recording device in Linda's apartment, because apparently this was back in the day when no one could refuse an unsolicited telephone repairman access to one's house. Also, Daka writes down Linda's phone number from memory. Creepy. Well, Linda's back in the story, apparently none the worse for wear for getting her radium paper stolen after shirking her responsibilities and heading off to see a fortune teller. I say she must be sleeping with her boss, but her boss is already dead. She's all excited because her and Bruce's longtime friend Ken Colton, a rugged old prospector, has come to visit. Now, if these chapters are kind of a waste of time, Ken Colton is the one thing that might make you forget that's the case. He's charming and irascible and just fun to watch whenever he's on screen. He's played by veteran character actor Charles Middleton, most famous for playing Flash Gordon's arch nemesis Ming the Merciless, so it was a real coup to get him for this. I would never have guessed he's pushing 70 here. Anyway, Ken Colton is here to jumpstart the next phase of the plot. He struck it big having discovered a mine. Can you guess what kind of mine it is? Can you? Can you? Can you?
That's the mineral from which radium is extracted.
Yes! Daka just happened to bug the apartment of the one woman in the entire city who's friends with the guy who just discovered a radium mine. However, before the bad guys can hear the location of the mine, Dick saves the day again by finding and ripping out the wire. But that doesn't stop the bad guys' string of precognition, as they immediately know what hotel room to break into, even though he only gave the name of his hotel. But Bruce and Dick figured there'll be trouble, and...
I think the Batman and Robin had better keep an eye on Mr. Colton.
Swell, let's get into our outfits.
I can't exactly add that to the Bat date counter, but this is the first time I've heard two superheroes jump into action with the battle cry of a teenage girl shopping for clothes. Batman and Robin get there amid Colton beatdown and manage to scare off the attackers.
You all right? Yeah.
Wait, that's not Batman's voice at all! I swear that Foster's death just broke the entire film. I mean, it's bad enough having a stunt Robin show up in a non-action scene, but you really couldn't have gotten the real Batman to speak Batman's lines? I mean, geez, are you trying to convince your audience this is some kind of low-budget, hastily produced cash-in? Oh. Anyway, the bad guys haven't given up. They are, however, out of ideas, so they fall back on the let's sucker in our victim by pretending we're Uncle Martin on the phone. But there aren't any false panel phone booths in Colton's hotel room, so they're just trying to lure him into some abandoned factory. He does have the good sense to ask Bruce for advice, and unlike with Linda, he doesn't just act so condescending that he decides to go anyway. But Bruce realizes he hasn't properly punished Alfred enough for trying to throw away his mail, so...
Hey, get the makeup kit. I'm certain he can look more like Colton than Colton does himself.
Keep the change, my good man.
Oh, yeah! Anyone would believe this is a rugged old prospector who single-handedly discovered a radium mine. I mean, completely indistinguishable. Wouldn't you know it, though, but the obvious trap is... an obvious trap. And this is the least OSHA-compliant factory ever, as they keep corrosive chemicals just lying around in large, waist-high, uncovered vats in the middle of the room that are just perfect for threatening twitchy British men into revealing the location of their hidden mines.
What mine?
Okay, seriously, is Alfred just playing dumb, or is Bruce really that much of a jerk that he would throw Alfred into this situation without even telling him what was going on? You look more like Colton than Colton does himself. Oh, why, sir? Am I attending a Ken Colton look-alike party? Why, yes, Alfred, that's it. And if you win, they'll give you cakes and mystery novels. Oh, why, splendid, sir. I do love cakes and mystery novels. I know you do, Alfred. Let's get you into makeup.
You gonna tell us where that mine is?
No.
Well, maybe a yank on this will change your mind.
Time out. Really? Really? You're telling me that grown men, deadly criminals, are going to stoop to tugging on someone's beard to get him to talk? Why, that would only make sense if you were a hack writer trying to figure out a way to blow Alfred's disguise. And wouldn't you know it, the guy whose beard they're threatening just happens to be wearing a fake beard. So Batman and Robin swing in. Alfred and Robin get locked in a closet, but not before Alfred actually gets in a few hits. Alfred should bring in his stunt double more often. Holes are shot in the vat, Batman is knocked out, the chemicals reach the circuit breaker, and the place goes kablooey. Chapter 7!
Boy, are you lucky. These beams formed an arch and protected you.
How nice, let's move on. After Colton's hotel room attack, he's been assigned a male nurse, which would be fine if he knew how to play cards, but he can't, so Colton just scares him off with his gun collection so he can get back to being rugged and manly. Now, if you had any reason to believe, aside from Chapter 5, that the whole government agent idea was only a ploy to be more patriotic and to let Batman and Robin work outside the jurisdiction of the local police without seeming like vigilantes, get a load of this scene. Bruce and Dick go to police headquarters to try and find the identities of the men who attacked Alfred, and they do manage to find Fletcher. Captain Arnold offers to have him picked up so they can identify him, but of course, Bruce has to turn him down. I know this is in the days before a Bat computer will be plausible, but don't they have some kind of criminal database? Wouldn't the fact that they're secret government agents give them clearance to easily get their hands on criminal records? And say that Fletcher is eventually apprehended. Now that Captain Arnold knows it happened, it will certainly come up, and all Fletcher will be able to say is, "No, I never assaulted Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, a man with a Boston accent and a kid with curly hair in that factory, but I did assault Batman and Robin, a masked man with a Boston accent and a masked kid with curly hair." Oh. So yeah, good job for accomplishing almost nothing useful and jeopardizing your secret identities. Fletcher, however, is being far more productive, posing as a doctor, drugging Colton, and whisking him off to the Cave of Horrors. Again, just like telephone repairmen, you apparently couldn't shoo away an unsolicited doctor from your home in the 40s. Must have been some kind of weird law. Anyway, his scene with DACA doesn't really have much new going for it. Just like with Uncle Martin, he threatens Colton with zombification if he doesn't give up the location of the mine, and just like Foster, he manages to catch them off guard at gunpoint. Unlike Foster, he's not done in by the pit, but by the caveman at the entrance who isn't just for decoration. Good grief, what a tedious job that must be. But that just reminds me of Foster and how much less interesting the serial has become without his presence. Anyway, Bruce and Dick search Colton's hotel room and find the handkerchief Fletcher used to drug Colton, and although they can't get fingerprints off it, they use a blacklight to find the laundry mark of, get this, a Japanese laundry.
Mark.
I never heard of a Japanese laundry.
Yeah, this serial isn't content with just playing up Japanese stereotypes, it has to mix in some Chinese stereotypes too. Now here's the thing. This Japanese laundromat has no importance, contains no incriminating evidence, or even regularly houses any of DACA's key personnel. No, apparently all that's there is mining equipment that the bad guys happen to be going to get that night to use when they inevitably find out where the mine is. And they just happen to go there the same night that Batman and Robin get a tip-off to its existence and decide to check it out for no other reason than that it might be related to the handkerchief used to drug Colton. Talk about splendid timing! So we have our extremely dubious setup for our obligatory end-of-chapter fight scene. And I can't help but always notice this part where Marshall gets knocked down and then just sort of wanders aimlessly in the foreground like he just does not give a crap anymore. Eventually the burglar alarm goes off. Wait, why? If this place is some kind of front for their illegal activity, why would they not have deactivated the burglar alarm before arriving? Besides, if this place is some kind of front for their illegal activity, isn't installing a device that might alert law enforcement the last thing you'd want to do? So with that bit of genius planning backfiring, the bad guys panic and decide to toss a life-size Batman plushie down the elevator shaft. Thankfully, the real Batman is nice enough to take his place to show kids that falling several stories face first won't do any more damage than making you groggy for a few minutes, and it really requires an elevator smashing you to bits to cause any permanent injury.
DACA has Colton in his zombie chair. Will he force him to give up the radium mine?
Whoa, wait, can it be?
Anyway, I'm not afraid of him or any other squint eye. And there are Linda and Alfred in Colton's cabin. What's going on there?
Is that Foster doing the narration? He's come back from beyond the grave to help us!
I'm quoting from the winning side.
You sure are, Foster, you alligator-devoured undead villain narrator. You sure